Good evening, everyone. This is a regular meeting of the Burns Township Board of Education. We've already done our salute to the flag. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Byrne? Here. Mrs. Horner?
Here.
Mrs. Gray?
Here.
Dr. Duncan?
Here.
Mr. Fry? Here. Mrs. McCune? Mrs. Richmond?
Here.
Mrs. Shaw?
Here.
Mrs. Woolridge?
Here.
Mr. Mark Carey? Here. Mr. Side? Here. Madam President?
This is a regular meeting of the Burns Township Board of Education. Notice of the time and place of this meeting was provided, and copies of that resolution were forwarded to the official newspapers as designated by the Board of Education. We very much welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during regular meetings that the public is invited to speak. One time is early in the meeting before the board votes, and you may speak about any item listed on tonight's agenda. Towards the end of the meeting, there is another public forum to address any topic. When you approach the microphone, please state your name and address. And in order to run efficient meetings and allow maximum opportunity for members of the public to speak, each speaker is limited to 5 minutes for their individual comments. Please understand that public comment portions of our agendas are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather they are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. Any board responses to public comment will be addressed after the public comment period, during board forum or committee reports. Okay, so next we're up to the student presentation.
Right, so we're going to be, board members will be sitting down front. We have 2 things in a row to do. One is our student presentation for the Project Citizen, and we have several student recognitions to do this evening. So we're very excited to spend the next bit of time recognizing some of the accomplishments of our students.
Rich High School Social Studies Department is really excited and proud to bring you Project Citizen's winning group for our junior honors government and economics students. To explain the project is their teacher, Mrs. Ward. She's going to give you a little background and then she's going to introduce the students.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Wood. As Kristen just said, that I am the honors government and economics teacher here at Ridge. And each year, as part of honors government and economics, we take part in Project Citizen, which is a national curricular program sponsored by the Center for Civic Education, which is designed to promote competent and responsible participation in government at all levels. The program helps participants learn how to monitor and influence public policy while developing support for democratic values and principles and feelings of political efficacy. Now, as part of this program, the students here had an opportunity to investigate a problem that they face in their daily lives. They opted for student stress and mental health. They reached out to the various stakeholders involved, so Mr. Markarian got interviewed for a variety of projects. And eventually, they analyzed possible solutions and developed their own policy ideas. So how to create an action plan of how this could be best addressed. Project Citizen prepares students to become active citizens outside of the classroom by fueling their commitment to being involved in their community and by providing them the skills that they will need to do so. So out of my 4 honors government and economic classes, this is the winning group out of the 16 presentations. And tonight we have 4 of the members to present to us. So we have Colin Bell, Hannah Wilkinson, Matt Liz, and Jeremy Gates. So guys, come on up.
The reason we chose it is because student stress is something that we as high school students at Ridge face every day. Too many times to count, we've had homework, project, tests, and all the extracurricular activities that are needed to get into college. So what we did to research is we researched articles from sources such as the New York Times, surveys from the American Psychological Association, some academic studies about our topic. We also conducted a poll of Ridge High School students that was posted through Class Honor website and Facebook. We received over 100 students and from all grade levels. And what we did after that is discuss and develop solutions based on what we learned because of our evidence. So the problem is that students are more stressed compared to the previous generations. This is a consequence of demanding classes, a more competitive college application process, and all this leads to a lack of sleep. A lack of sleep leads to mental health issues such as stress, anxiety, leading to some extreme cases, depression. So as the aforementioned poll earlier stated, we got some results. Around 78% of Ridge students polled feel stressed frequently, all the time, or almost all the time. 79% of Ridge students polled feel anxious going to school. Only 6% of the students get 8+ hours of sleep, the recommended amount for kids our age. Only 46% have over 3 hours of homework daily, and 98% of students have at least one extracurricular activity.
We came up with 3 alternative solutions that we could use if we were ever going to make a policy. And so the first of those 3 is student self-responsibility. And before I get into it, I'd like to say that all 3 kind of involve a cultural change that prioritizes student mental health as much as it does creating a rigorous and respectable schedule, we'll call it, or a resume to be proud of. So first, with student self-responsibility, what we want students to do is to start being more reasonable about the amounts of stress, the amounts of work, and the extracurriculars that they can handle. Because I think we can all agree that there's a culture in Ridge that says, do your best, try and be the best student and person you can be. But something that often gets lost is the ability to enjoy your life and have fun at the same time and not feel crazed. So something that we want to be on an equal plane with building a great schedule and resume is feeling good about yourself and what you're doing. And we really want students to have that prioritized for themselves. We also want parents to take responsibility for this because parents obviously have a huge influence on what their students do and how they think and what they believe in. So we want parents to really hammer home the point of needing to be mentally healthy as well as showcasing all your talents in all walks of life and trying to be the best person you can be. And finally, we have delayed school start times. We wish to push back the school start times at RHS by about an hour or so, which hopefully would allow students to get more sleep and a better quality of sleep. A lot of the studies that we found show that the early morning hours of sleep around the time that the students are actually getting up are the most valuable and most important in terms of the developing mind and body. So one of our main goals is to allow students to get those specific hours of sleep by delaying school start times so they can be overall more mentally healthy. And obviously sleep, which as Matt said, regulates mood and your ability to actually not be depressed. In terms of that, it's really important in mental health because it affects a lot of different brain functions and how you develop. And as Matt obviously mentioned, only about 6% of the students get 8 or more hours of sleep. And more recent studies recommend that students get closer to 10 or even 11, which is obviously not realistic. But what it really shows you is that in our society we require a cultural change that says our mental health is equally as important as being the best student, person, and person that you can be.
All right, so our suggestion school times. We found that changing the schedule dramatically could have a pretty big impact on teachers, students, as well as parents regarding scheduling. But we did include the first two solutions that Jeremy spoke about. So first and foremost, I'd like to just say that we found that the most effective solution contains a role for all stakeholders in this issue. I want to skip down to Ridge High School's role. We found that the school currently has policies regarding testing days and how much homework a teacher can assign a night. And it's a pretty good policy. Unfortunately, teachers don't tend to follow it. So one of our solutions would include keeping that policy enforced. Secondly, we wanted to ensure that guidance counselors prioritize students' health and when choosing different classes and courses that they're taking, not just focus on what works best on resume. Second, of course, this has to be a responsibility that the teenagers themselves take upon themselves, and as well as their parents, because it's really important for a student to be able to go home and have that support from parents and not just them motivating them to get into the best school or take the best course or the hardest course. And so we found that the best way to make sure that students and parents are making sure that students aren't overwhelming themselves with work is that they would attend meetings or go see guidance counselors regarding which course would be the best to take, most impressive to take, without overwhelming the students. But I really want to focus on Board of Education's role in this issue. So we decided that by creating programs to educate students, teachers, and parents on how much of an effect stress can have on students and how to avoid overwhelming amounts of stress for students is really important, because a lot of students and parents and even teachers sometimes don't realize how much of an effect stress can have on students. As we stated previously, it can affect students' sleep, and they're already sleep deprived enough, but it can also affect their ability to take tests, and in some extreme cases can cause depression in students, and obviously that would take away from their own experience at Ridge. We found that by reducing class sizes, students developed a strong relationship with their teachers, and by developing that strong relationship, their behavior in classes would increase and they become more productive in class. And that can have a serious effect on how, obviously, how their grades are going and what they take away from that class and what they take home after the class. And so by reducing these class sizes, and teachers can now focus on the students, and not only do they get a more hands-on experience with the students, but it's also the students now have a chance to get to know their teachers more, and teachers can now understand students' lives outside of school and understand what they have to do aside from that particular class when they go home. So regarding the programs to educate and inform students and families, we found that Ridge already has certain programs that the meetings would be similar to the programs like student orientation, where students and teachers can both go into these orientations with like processes and content.
So Hannah basically touched upon like most of the stuff that we were going to have the board do, but to go more into depth, some of the programs that we have like looked at the Memory Enhancement Institute has like partnered with Needham High School. That's just like one example. They partner with multiple schools like throughout the country, and the students are more like educated on like stress and how it affects them. And with that, then they like teach students how to better manage their stress, like keep their stress down, get sleep, and do their homework, and still like maintain their like high GPA or get good grades in class. And to go more to the reduced class sizes, with that being like implemented in other schools, there has been more increased student achievement. They've been able to have a better relationship with their teacher, where they can go and ask questions or ask questions about the next test or something, and go and study with them more. And there's just more like interaction between teacher and student, thus like decreasing stress levels and still keeping the grades high.
So we learned a couple of things over the course of this project, which was really about the length of the whole school year. So during this time, we learned things like time management and organizational skills. So the amount of research and work that we had to do in order to really delve deep into this issue required a lot of time spent on researching, and we obviously had to manage how we were going to do that. And so there were pretty long hours spent on research, and we also had to organize the different types of information that we had, because we had surveys, we had a website, we had notes from the Psychological Association of America, and we had notes from different schools and different websites and different sources. So we had to spend a lot of time moving that around and keeping it together, because a project like this has a lot of different information that you're juggling, and we really needed to keep everything into place so that we were keeping track of what we were doing. And so the second thing is that we learned that there is no magic bullet when it comes to making policy, meaning there is no one-size-fits-all, and there's no perfect way to implement a policy or write a policy. And this is definitely relatable in politics, where all political and legislative things are written with great ideas in mind, but they all seem to have some kind of flaw. And as great as intentions as our solutions have, for example, the delayed start times, delaying start times in schools, requires changing bus times and pushing back the times that people do extracurriculars, because people get into their extracurricular schedule as soon as they come from school usually. So changing when school is affects that in a big way. So not all solutions and policies are perfect, and that's something that we really learned, that you have to balance everything that you're doing in terms of policy. And I've said earlier, it's the third one, making policy is hard. There's nothing perfect about it. Every policy can be great in theory, but there's always some kind of roadblock when we're trying to make it. And that's probably the biggest thing that we learned in terms of how to make a policy, how to really write legislation to be politically accurate. Are there any questions from the body?
Okay, well, thank you to Mrs. Fox and Ms. Ward and the students. Interestingly, this is a subject that the board has been dealing with off again, on again, and something that we're talking about as a district goal for next year. So we really appreciate the timeliness of what you shared this evening. Thank you. Nice job. We got it. Okay, so we'd like to recognize some of our other student groups this evening for some of their accomplishments. And we're going to start off with our athletic director, Mr. Richard Cello. He's going to talk to us a little bit about the Ridge High School boys ski race.
Thank you, Mr. Markarian, and thank you to the Board of Education for giving us this opportunity to recognize so many of our students, and in my case, some of our highly successful student athletes from the recently completed winter season. I came here after the fall season and presented two teams, which came from our girls' side of the sports programs, and that was our girls' soccer and cross-country teams. We've come 180 degrees now in the winter season, with two state championship teams on the boys' side, one of which we will meet tonight, and that is our boys ski racing team. Head coach John Fico, unfortunately, couldn't be here tonight, wearing his other hat as a parent. His daughter was competing for her high school team in the softball state tournament today, and with the rain delays and things we experienced, I'm sure that game didn't get underway quite as planned. Anyway, in his spot, I'm going to bring up assistant coach Andy Bagger, who's an alum of Ridge High School and a former member of the ski race team, who will introduce the members of the team and share a little bit about their success.
Hello, my name is Annie Bagg, and it was nice working with Fico this year and last year. This year's team was an incredible group of boys. There's a speech written, but I think I'll just say that in words. These boys really got along well. It wasn't about just winning and losing, but it was more about coming together and working together as a team. They did great team bonding and lane training, and they took that to the slopes, and we won a public state championship. Unfortunately, this year we didn't have as many varsity kids, but that didn't stop us. So we were in for a surprise of having a great group of guys who were just good at heart and not good at being all of that and best they could be. So they did a great job this year, and thank you for your time. First we have Colin Bell. Next we have Austin County. James McWilliams. Matt Mitch. And Mike Mitch, who was at college in
Thank you, Mr. Shell and Ms. Bang. I was just reminded of the time, so I understand how busy the students are here at the end of the year. I know also that we have another sports team scheduled, fencing. They will be here, boys fencing team will be here for the next board meeting, June 13th. Right, Mr. Shell? You got that right?
All right, good, thanks.
All right. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. David Ostrowski to the podium to talk to us about the Ridge High School forensics team.
Thank you, Mr. Markarian. Ridge Forensics team had a phenomenal season this year. Once again, we attained our 15th consecutive state championship. Our students competed in 10 states across the country at various local, regional, and national level tournaments. And tonight is one of the highlights of the year when we can bring them here to present some of their accomplishments to all of you. Because one of the things that makes me proud as a Ridge High School teacher is the fact that our students excel in athletics and in arts and academics, and that there's opportunities for all students that come to this school to be able to excel, achieve, and enjoy their high school experience. So I'm happy to have Danielle Prizzuto, language arts teacher at Ridge High School, and my assistant director of forensics, come up and help us. Now, at speech and debate tournaments, we have this practice, and those of you that have been here before have already reminded me of that, and that is the one clap. So we'll say a name, and everybody together will give one outstanding clap. All right? So, for instance, Mr. Markarian. Good. Okay. Tonight we are recognizing 4 different types of accomplishments. Those students who were named state champions at the New Jersey Speech and Debate League State Championships in March. Those students have participated at the University of Kentucky Tournament of Champions. The students that have qualified for the National Catholic Forensic League Grand National, which will be held this upcoming weekend in Sacramento, California. And the students that have qualified for the National Speech and Debate Association National Championships, which will take place in Salt Lake City. So, I'll read the name and their accomplishment. One, I usually call it the Triple Crown, although this year we have 3 students that attained all 3 national level tournaments. So I'm going to give them, when I mention the Triple Crown, you'll understand they qualify for everything. But 3 of those individuals also are state champions. So the first person, a senior who isn't here tonight, like many seniors, there must be some epidemic going on, like Monday after prom weekend. Mrs. Miller, you may need to check that out. Viking Balaji, state champion, NCFL, NSDA, and TOC qualifier. Kim Castillo, NCFL, Grand National qualifier. Ari Nandawate, state champion, NCFL, NSDA, TOC, Triple Crown winner. Marco Kakar, novice Lincoln Douglas, state champion. Donald Faruqi, NCFL qualifier. Ishan Gandham, NSDA qualifier. Claire Halsey, NCFL and NSDA qualifier. Jennifer Wong, NCFL qualifier. Alicia Jen, NCFL qualifier. David Kalgati, NCFL and NSDA qualifier. Sean Khan, NCFL, NSDA, and state champion. Patrick Kirkwood, NCFL qualifier. Katie Kleiner, Triple Crown, NCFL, NSDA, TOC, and state champion. Shankar Krishna, NCFL, NSDA, and TOC. Kevin Levy, NCFL qualifier. Anjali Mather, NCFL qualifier. Brian Corner, NCFL qualifier. Ryan Miller, NCFL qualifier. Paula Montai, NCFL, and NSDA. Neha Patton, NCFL qualifier. Matthew Perez, NCFL and NSDA qualifier. Daniel Perez, NCFL qualifier and state champion. Deepak Prasad, NCFL qualifier. Archie Roy, NCFL and TOC participant. Sakata Sengupta, NCFL qualifier. Rana Shahani, NCFL qualifier. Aditya Shet, state champion. Sean Subi, NCFL and NSDA qualifier. Eric Wan, NCFL and NSDA qualifier. UC Wei, NCFL qualifier. Wei Wen, NCFL qualifier. Amy Zhang, NCFL qualifier. And Mary Zhang, NCFL qualifier. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2015-2016 Ridge Forensic State Championship team. So the following students from Ridge earned first place awards in the statewide academic competitions. They are Joyce Gojin Lee in upper level mythology, Thomas Mazumder, upper level Roman history, and Sugata Singh Gupta, middle level Roman history. And at William N., we had 4 first-place winners in the written competition for level 1. We have David Liu for mythology. We have Matthew Liu for Latin vocabulary, Austin Siegel for Latin grammar, and Caroline Shaw for Roman history. Then also, a different event. In March this year, hundreds of Ridge, William and Latin students took part in the National Latin Exam, which, despite its name, is actually an international general knowledge competition for middle and high school Latin students. The following students earned perfect scores on this exam, an achievement accomplished by only 0.6 of the over 140,000 students who took it across the world this year. And they are, from Ridge High School, Matthew Chase in Latin 3, Caitlin Van Balen in Latin 3, Lezo Jang in Latin 4 poetry, and Bhavik Shah in Latin 4 poetry. And at William Manning, we had 2 7th graders and 2 8th graders who also achieved perfect papers. Our 7th grade students are Jyotsna Iyengar and Divya Krishnan. And our 2 8th grade students, we have Sanjana Chimana and Kevin Tang. Thank you again for this opportunity to acknowledge these wonderful students. Let's give them another round of applause.
So in recognizing students for their ability in languages, Captain Stobler shared with me a couple of others and said, "Can we add these to the agenda?" And I said, "Absolutely." So come on up, Captain.
Thank you, Mr. Marcarian. Before Mr. Gephardt and Mr. Rathgeb leave, I just want to congratulate them and also thank them. The Latin competition, in which so many of our students placed first, was a huge undertaking, organizing Latin programs planned weeks, if not months, to organize food activities. If you had the opportunity to be here on that day, there were athletic events, there were academic events, there were art demonstrations, there was food tasting from Roman times, which I would not recommend to anyone. But it was a really remarkable event, and it was great to see, as Mr. Yastrzemski commented on students who have an opportunity to excel in academic areas, and areas that they really were just proud of themselves. So thank you to the 2 of you and the rest of the Latin department for planning that. In addition, today we're honoring another Latin student, I'm very proud to say. We sent this year 13 students from the World Language Program to attend the 33rd annual Orlando SA Foreign Language Poetry Recitation Contest. This was founded 33 years ago by Dr. Orlando SA, Spanish professor at William Patterson, who recognized that poetry plays an integral role in learning languages. And what we had the opportunity to do was offer our students, in not just the languages we offer, but also in their native languages, the opportunity to rehearse a piece of poetry from oftentimes many years ago. And we auditioned them within the department, and then we sent one student from each level and language onto the competition. And we are proud to say that of the 13 students that we sent, 6 of them placed out of the 800 plus students who attended from 58 schools across the country. But one of our students received first place in his category, and that was in our Latin competition, and that was Kishan Gangam.
Thank you, everybody, members of the board, Ms. Tucker, thank you very much for your support, Mr. Syed. We know this, I'm here representing one of my top students, but behind the success of our students, there is tremendous support from everybody, from, first of all, the administrators, but also all our colleagues, so middle school teachers, Ms. Capone, Ms. Bruni, Ms. Coupier, and of course, I had just the honor to have her in my classroom this year. This year and every year, we encourage our students to participate in the national competition. So there is this association, the American Italian Teacher Association, was founded years ago in 1924, promotes the study of Italian language and culture. And what really the test is meant is to prepare the students for their AP Italian exam and also for the SAT too. But we have over 140 schools participating in this contest. And in each level, level 2, freshmen, level 4, juniors, and level 5, seniors, competed with over 2,000 students. And we have 14 freshmen, 12 juniors, and 10 seniors this year who actually were awarded honorable mentions, which that means they were top 40 over 2,000. So that's a major accomplishment. We're also the third place winners, but number 1 winner with $250 monetary reward is Lauren Schottfelder. She's an amazing student. She's very, absolutely amazing, strong linguistic ability. But she's so committed to win. And even in September, she came into class the first day, and she told me, Ms. Bologna, I'm gonna win this one. And she did. So.
Okay, that concludes our recognition portion of the agenda. We're going to move on to our regular business, but before we do, how about one more round of applause for the staff, the students. All right, thank you for your attention. You can have board members return to the stage. Thank you.
Okay, we're up to the superintendent's report. Can I have a motion? Deb? Second? John? Anybody have any questions? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Byrne? Yes. Mrs. Warner?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Dr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Fry? Yes. Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Fuller?
Yes.
Mrs. McKee?
Yes.
Okay, we're up to public comments on agenda items. So if anyone has public comments, please come up, sign in, and please keep your comments to 5 minutes. Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comments. Okay, so we're now up to approval of minutes. Can I have a motion? Robin and Bev? Can I have a roll call?
Mr. Byrne? Yes. Mrs. Warner?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Dr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Fry? Yes. Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Fuller?
Yes.
Mrs. McKee? Madam President?
Okay, so we're up to annual appointments. So we need a motion to move items 1 through, yes, there's 8. Yeah, there's 8 items. Bev, second. Robin, thank you. Are there any questions? Okay. Can I have a roll call?
Mr. Byrne? Yes. Mrs. Warner?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Dr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Fry? Yes. Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Fuller?
Yes.
Mrs. McKee?
Yes.
Madam President?
Okay, we're up to committee reports, and the first committee is finance. So we have 35 items. So could I have a motion? Preeti? A second? Karen, thank you. Okay, so the Finance Committee met on May 18th, and the first item we talked about was the Horizon renewal for 2016-17, and it's now finalized, and the overall increase will be 9.5%. This amount is within the 2016-17 budget. Mr. McLaughlin and Mr. Markarian are currently in discussion about the adult school for 2016-17. The next item we talked about was the closing of the bond sale for the refunding of the $9.8 million in 2006 refunding bonds. And with this sale, our district achieved net present value savings of 17.86%. And with the sale, actual budgetary savings of $3,300,000 average annual savings of $195,322 for the years 2018 through 2029, and then annual savings for the years 2030 through 31 will average $518,954. The next item we talked about were the elementary school security projects. And at the April 25th board meeting, the board voted to reject the second round of bids on these projects because they were significantly over budget. Mr. McLaughlin met with the architect and Dave Harding to examine the component parts of the projects. And the following three components can be done by three separate subcontractors: the storefronts at Cedar Hill, exchange doors and windows, and then electronic door strikes related hardware and intercom. So to stay within the budget, the goal now is for the district to be the general contractor and get quotes for the components from separate subcontractors. Okay, so now with the agenda items, items 1 through 3 are our usual recurrent items. Items 4 through 26 and item 29 are a number of required annual appointments for 2016-17. There are only a few changes from 2015-16. The Star Ledger was added as a district newspaper to provide flexibility for a one-day notice. The auditor fees increased slightly, and some other fees have increased by a small amount. Item 27 is a 5-year financing resolution written by our bond counsel, which authorizes a lease purchase transaction for the acquisition of technology equipment. And the IT department will finalize the components by the end of May. Item 28 is a $10,000 donation from the William Allen Middle School Athletic Organization for an additional storage shed at William Allen. The Board of Education will fund the remainder of the cost for this item. Item 30 is the 2016-17 subscription busing rate, which increased by $10 from last year. Item 31 is professional development. Item 32 is a resolution to award the 2016-17 and 2017-18 custodial maintenance, grounds, and management services contract to Aramark. Item 33 is a resolution to award the 2016-17 food service management contract to Aramark. And then item 34 is the health benefits renewal, which I mentioned previously. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Can I have a roll call?
Mr. Byrd? Yes. Mrs. Sparta?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Abstain on 28 and yes on all others.
Dr. Dunton?
Yes.
Mr. Fry? Yes. Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Shelley?
Yes.
Mrs. Woolridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McKinney?
Yes.
Madam President?
Okay, we're up to personnel.
Can I just thank the Acton Athletic Organization for their very generous donation?
So now we're up to personnel. Can I have a motion?
Sure, there's an addendum, if anyone didn't see it yet. There are 42 items. So the motion on the page is 1 from 42.
And Beth?
I guess a lot of these are typical this time of year personnel items. I just wanted to draw your attention to number 37 and number 42 on the addendum. I'm sure Mr. Markarian will have more to say about these two items, but they're very exciting items. The two new administrators in our district. Should I do my business now?
Yeah.
The personnel committee met on Friday, and we reviewed a number of different personnel items, including Mr. McLaughlin and Mr. Syed's contracts, which the board will be discussing later in June. We talked about some stipends for the clubs that have been around for 3 years. After a club has been operating for 3 years, the advisor of the club is allowed to come forward to the board to request that we consider it for a got an update on elementary enrollment and how that's going so far. We don't have the final numbers. I guess at the cabinet meeting in June, there'll be the final head count for staffing, and we'll get an update at that point. And then we talked about the appointment of the administrators that are here tonight to be introduced, which I'll let Mr. Markarian do. And we went over the agenda for the meeting tonight. Anyone have any questions?
So we can have a roll call now?
Mr. Byrne? Yes. Mrs. Horn?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Dr. Dunton?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Gould?
Yes.
Mrs. McCune?
Yes.
Madam President?
So, as has been alluded to, with this vote from the Board of Education, we have approved 2 administrators to new positions. The first is Tom Miziak. Tom, I know you're over there somewhere. Can you stand up? Okay, Tom, there's a microphone behind the gal there, and you can start singing and dancing whenever you're ready. Sorry, Tom, that's terrible. New administrator, that's all. But Tom is coming to us from Clark, and he's been serving as an administrator there in the last 3 years, and he has a title that's so long, I'll let him share that with you. And he also taught for 8 years in Hillsborough. Tom outshone his competitors in the interview process. We're very confident in his abilities, and we really look forward to having him get together with Dr. Heinemann very quickly, as he will be our new science technology supervisor, replacing Matt Hall, who is leaving at the end of the year. So welcome, Tom.
Thank you very much. I'm very much looking forward to serving the district students and staff. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Okay. Secondly, Mr. Paul Sampola. Paul, would you mind staying at the mic for me? Thanks, Paul. Mr. Sampola has been working in the Berners Township School District for the last 23 years. He was a teacher for a couple of years before coming to Berners, so he's at a significant milestone at 25 years. That's I don't want to say anything, Paul, that's a quarter century we've been at this, so, not that anyone's counting. But Paul has been a star in the school district for many years as a teacher at the middle school, ultimately becoming an assistant principal at the middle school, where he and I worked together closely, and eventually moving over to Mount Prospect School, where he's been working the last 2 years with Joanne Hosney as an assistant principal. And with this board action that was just taken, Paul is going to be the new principal of Cedar Hill Elementary School. So congratulations, Paul.
Mr. Markarian, Mr. Sy, and the entire board, thank you for putting your faith in me, and I look very, very much forward to serving the students at Cedar Hill and the Township of Berners. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, so now we're up to policy. Can I have a motion? John.
Thank you.
Changes. One is basically to permit a student to remain in school for the remainder of the school year free of charge if the move is a result of domestic violence, sexual abuse, other family crisis. And what has been added second reading, we have the policy health services, and that was revised to include the use of automated external defibrillators, AED, and clarified an individual health care plan for students with chronic medical conditions. We had a policy administration of medical marijuana, which is a new policy. It outlines the administration of medical marijuana to a qualified student patient by their primary caregiver. High school graduation policy has been revised to clarify the requirements for the New Jersey core curriculum standards and clarifying graduation requirements. I think that's going to go on forever. Policy reporting potentially missing or abused children revised. Policy was revised for the procedure only to contact the Department of Human Services upon student attempting or completed suicide. And outstanding food service charges. This is a policy that revises the procedure that if a parent cannot or will not provide lunch for a student, the principal shall contact the appropriate state agency, which is a different agency than they normally do. As a note, Berners Township will provide lunch or meal for any child who cannot or will not have lunch. There is one other new policy which we have not completed yet, and that is on
The management of debt, John?
management of outstanding long-term debt. The policy to clarify the intent to manage our outstanding long-term debt so that we balance our debt payments to prevent large increases in future debt payments. This philosophy of balancing payments will minimize spikes in our debt levy and to stabilize tax payments. So we will be, since it's brand new, we will be contacting and reworking the wording on this. That's all I have.
So does anyone have any questions about the policy?
We just have the first reading done for tonight. Just the first reading.
Can we have a roll call?
Mr. Byrne? Yes. Mrs. Warner?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Dr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Woolsey?
Yes.
Mrs. McKeon?
Yes.
Madam President?
Okay, we're up to curriculum.
I have a committee report. The curriculum committee met on May 13th. The first item that we discussed was feedback from parents regarding academic planning night. Several board members had gotten some feedback that some parents and students felt that there was too much emphasis placed on honors classes, the decision about whether to take honors classes, that this was not the best presentation for students that were not considering honors classes. So the committee decided that in the fall we'll put this on the agenda to discuss, make any modifications necessary for next year's academic planning night. We also discussed the concern that families who are new to our district or new to the country are finding the process of navigating decisions about course selection and bridge confusing. There's a lot of options and choices. So we discussed some ideas about how to reach out to them, make sure that they're informed when they move in about the PTO orientation in August and other events that might be helpful for them. So we're going to also brainstorm about that going forward. We had a new course, Principles of Biomedical Science, presented by Mr. Hall. We had the course proposal, and I attached a number of things about the Project Lead the Way course in the minutes for people to look at. The course will be, the curriculum rating for the course will take place over this summer. The course is going to follow the basic Project Lead the Way curriculum, but it'll be modified to put a Berners Township flair on it, I guess. And there will be one section of the biomedical science course offered in the STEAM Academy next year, and two sections that are for non-academy students. So three sections of this course will be running. We had an update about the Gifted and Talented program. Ms. Wolf provided information about how first year of the telescope curriculum was completed this year with the third graders, or was almost completed. And so the curriculum will be written for them to move into fourth grade in the telescope curriculum. The fourth and fifth graders this year were receiving math enrichment, and next year the fifth graders will continue to receive math enrichment. Board members asked questions about whether students were able to be added to the program that weren't initially identified, and Dr. Hyman said that several new students were added during the school year that either moved into the district or had somehow not been identified in third grade. There's also a process going on right now to identify other children who may want to be added in going forward, and also the identification for next year's third grade class. Ms. Wolf discussed the mathematical instructional model that the gifted and talented teachers are pushing into the classrooms. The feedback so far has been very positive. This is the first year that we have a gifted and talented teacher at each elementary school, and they've been working with the classroom teachers to do the same cluster group instructional model in the classrooms during math that's used in the gifted and talented program. So far that's been going very well. They're going to continue to provide staff training on this and support. The teachers' schedules vary by building because all the buildings have a different schedule, and there's different numbers of students identified at different grades at different buildings for the math program. There are also a variety of different other activities offered by the gifted and talented teachers at the different schools that are open to all students: Continental Math Week, guest speakers, writers' workshops, STEM activities, and other enrichment activities and projects. And the committee also discussed the differentiated instructional model that's used in language arts and how that compares to the mathematics instructional model that Ms. Wolf was describing to us. Mr. Hunter said that the flexible grouping and workshop model has been being used in language arts, for a number of years, and so he feels that the language arts program has a good handle on that model right now. And let's see. We talked about how once we sent a full cohort, which is the current third grade that's finishing third grade, through the telescope math curriculum, then we would possibly start a plan to identify gifted and talented students in other academic areas. But right now, the teachers seem to have a lot on their plate, pushing this instructional model and offering all these other activities. Mr. Fatman then gave an update on what happened to the game design and development students that wanted to take that class. We unfortunately are not able to offer it next year. Hopefully, the following year we will be able to. So there were 135 students that had requested this course, which is not a surprise because it's a very popular elective at William Manning. So not surprisingly, a lot of students were interested. He showed us a breakdown of which courses the students ended up in. They ended up spread around a number of different classes in the technology education, business education, and visual arts departments. So they all did, get into another one of their electives for practical arts. Mr. Hunter gave summer reading updates. There are a couple of new books introduced this year. One of them is How to Read Literature Like a Professor, which is a required book for 12th grade AP Lit. The second book is a memoir, I Am Malala, which is a choice book for the 11th grade AP Language course. And the third book, which is a required book for 12th grade Honors World Literature, is In Other Words, which is replacing a collection of short stories by the same author. It's a memoir also. And the last thing we talked about at the meeting was Ms. Shadis gave a presentation that had been kind of at the request of the curriculum committee to have a detailed analysis of how Ridge High School compares to top public comprehensive high schools in the Northeast. So we weren't trying to compare ourselves to the magnet schools and other types of schools, but to the comprehensive high schools. She pulled a lot of data. She had the top 3 schools in each of the states in the Northeast, and she had all kinds of data on their test scores, AP classes, how many were offered, how they do, schedules of the schools, minutes of instruction in the schools, and she highlighted different things that were interesting about the schools. One thing I thought was interesting because people always forget at Milburn was that at Milburn there's an entrance exam to get into AP classes, and they also limit the number of AP classes that can factor into a student's weighted GPA, which I thought was interesting. That's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, we're up to advocacy.
The only thing we can say about advocacy is that I drafted a letter of the National Committee last week, and I got some feedback back from the committee members. And one was I able to review feedback that came in, also in from Mr. Hall and Mr. Jerome. And we're going to revisit the draft, and we're going to talk to Mr. McCarran before it goes out to the board again for finalization. Oh.
Letter writing.
Oh, we just the part. Yeah, we will do that. We will work on it. Sorry. Yeah, we're working on that too. Part letter to the state.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, now we're up to liaison reports. So I have a liaison report on the April 28th meeting of the District Evaluation Advisory Committee. So at that time, the committee hadn't met since October. And Mr. Syed announced that at the meeting that TeachScape will no longer be available as of June 30th. And TeachScape is a software that the teachers and administrators use to do the evaluations. And so another technology company bought the TeachScape product and is discontinuing it at the end of the school year. At that time, most of the rest of the meeting was discussing how the district will do the teacher evaluations next year. And the decision was to develop an in-house form for 2016-17. And the reasoning behind this was that the district is looking to implement a new student information system in 2017-18, and some of those systems being looked at include a teacher evaluation component. And there's a committee, currently evaluating these potential new student information systems, and is planning to make a decision in the fall. So another advantage of an in-house form is that a more holistic approach could be used for scoring. They pointed out that TeachScape has a lot of calculations. So then the committee members discussed what information should be included on an in-house form. And that discussion went on for a while. The final topic was an update on the Innovate pilot program. Innovate is an alternative teacher evaluation method for teachers who are rated highly effective. This year, 27 districts participated, including Berners Township, and 104 teachers in our district participated. With Innovate, there are 2 video conferences in the first and third marking periods, and 1 short unannounced observation in the second marking period. The results of the pilot program were largely positive, and the state will be publishing guidelines shortly for next year. It is expected in the future that the video conferences will have to be scored, which they did not have to be in the pilot. And the next meeting is scheduled for June 2nd at 1 p.m. So I was wondering, does anyone have any questions? No? Okay. And Robin, you have a brief liaison? Or Beth? Okay.
Our joint education task force met earlier this afternoon, and for those of you who are not familiar, representatives from our Board of Ed, in this case, Mrs. Richmond, Mrs. Woolridge, Mrs. McEwen, and myself, met with Mayor Bianchi and Mrs. Gazzano from the Township Committee. Our goal is to get a fairer share of state funding. There are districts in the state who get more than half of their funding from the state, and we're at, about 6% now? So we feel
chart that you showed about the AP exams, I looked at it quickly, and it looked as though there was no AP exam listed for physics 1, 2, or B.
Right, I noticed that too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we can follow up with a question with that.
Because we were, I think, 2 below the maximum number, or the most number of AP exams.
Yeah, we'll have to ask.
I'll have to follow up with Jill.
So now we're up to public comment on non-agenda items. So if anyone has public comments, please come up to the microphone. And the sign-in for the public comment is in the aisle at the music over there. And please remember, keep your comments to 5 minutes.
Hi everyone, my name is Ari Magalante and I'm a rising 9th grader. Next year I'll be in the STEAM program, more specifically the biology and medicine track. First of all, I would like to thank everyone who made it possible to offer such a high honor course or selection courses. Ever since I was aware of such an opportunity as STEAM, I have been so extremely excited. I finally feel as though I'm planning better towards my future. We were offered an honors course that we are all very interested in, and we're proven to deserve these choices. I'm overjoyed to be able to encounter this random combination of hallways and classrooms we call bridge, and be able to do it with a group of kids who I will continuously work with. So you can imagine my disappointment when we were notified that these honor courses that were promised were now only available as regular elective choice. But I got over that. The school has some legitimate reason and has thought and rethought over this when they made their decision. Except the given reason was budget cuts. Now, how are we supposed to be okay with not getting our complete promised education, knowing that the reason is budget cuts? I would like to know exactly why this is happening to us, and then maybe we can all find a way to solve these problems. What I'm trying to say is thank you so much, Christine. It really was a great decision on the board's part. But in order to ensure a group of 60 successful students, it is important to communicate with them and their parents. In school, we are taught that great projects start with minds thinking together. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Aditi Sharma, and I'm in 8th grade as well. I'm also in the biology program, and just to go off what Rose said about the budget cuts, the email that you guys gave us was a little vague, I guess you could say, because we don't really know where the money that would be going for STEAM is going now. So I think we'd all appreciate a lot if you could tell us where it's going, because obviously we don't want to go away going to something that's going to benefit the entire student body. But at the same time, it was promised to us that we would get an honors course and a summer program and that stuff. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything. Like, I really appreciate the entire STEAM program. I think it's a great opportunity, especially living in the 21st century, how science is so important to everyday life, and it is important that we learn it now. So I think just going into the specifics would really help a lot of people. And also, I just have a question on, you guys said that the biomech program
Does anyone else have public comments? Okay. So we'll close public comments and we're up to board forum. Does anyone have anything for board forum? Karen?
I just wanted to say that I've been really enjoying the last few board meetings where we've gotten a chance to see some of the teacher and student awards and the accolades that they've been doing. I really like seeing their accomplishments, and I like it. It makes our job over here much more worthwhile to see. I mean, that's why we're here for the students.
I agree. Thank you. Anything else, Deb?
Mine is student related too. I'd like to thank the 2 rising freshmen who came to express their thoughts on the STEAM program and especially the biomedical program. It's students like you who express your thoughts so articulately and thoughtfully that make me proud to be involved in our district. I'm sure you heard me speaking a few minutes earlier about how underfunded our school district is, and we're working really hard to get more funding because we have a huge list of things we love to do here, and all we need is some money to do it.
I just wanted to, all the board members, I just wanted to call your attention to the schedule for Thursday for the special education tour that's in your packet. Preeti?
As long as you RSVP to Christina Hendricks, you probably did, but if you just show up, it's not going to be a problem.
Anything else for board forum? No? Mr. McCarron, did you want to respond to
Well, the question about the costs associated with the STEAM program, essentially when we were working on our budget, at the end of the day it comes down to staffing, like we always come down to, at least in the last several years, in trying to accomplish everything we want to accomplish